People in the cafe didn't know what shocked them more: the young German heiress slamming her palm on the table, or the poor single dad replying in flawless German. The moment he lifted his tired eyes and said, "I understand every word you said," the entire room went silent. Cups stopped mid-air, conversations choked halfway, and even the dust floating in the sunlight seemed to freeze. She had assumed he couldn't understand her. She had assumed he was just another struggling local man who wouldn't catch the sharp words she threw in frustration. But now, caught, exposed, humiliated, she stared at him with a face that drained of color. And that single sentence was all it took to unravel everything she thought she knew about the world around her. Amelia von Hartmann had not planned to lose her composure in public. She had not planned to speak in German, nor had she planned to let her carefully controlled life slip through her fingers like that. She came to Pakistan for a short philanthropic mission, a routine trip where she would smile, wave, and let people take photos for the foundation her family owned. Her father's agenda, as always, was image, influence, and control. For Amelia, it was suffocating. Everywhere she went, security followed. Reporters lurked. Officials expected her to speak like a polished robot, to behave like a symbol instead of a human being. That afternoon, she escaped her handlers. She just wanted one moment, one small breath of normal life. She walked alone through the narrow streets, ignoring her buzzing phone, ignoring the messages from her father, and ignoring the instructions from the security team ordering her to stop. She wandered until she found a quiet cafe on the corner of a street lined with old trees and colorful shops. The smell of chai, fresh parathas, and cardamom drifted into the air. It felt real. It felt human. It felt like everything her world wasn't. Inside, she noticed him sitting by the window. Ayan Malik looked like a man carrying invisible weights. His shirt was simple, sleeves rolled up from honest work, his hair slightly messy as though he had rushed somewhere, and his eyes tired but gentle. He had a backpack next to him and a pink lunchbox, his daughter's. Something about him made her pause. Not attraction, not immediately. It was something softer, recognition, a look she had seen in her own mirror. Someone exhausted, someone trying. She sat 2 tables away, hoping for quiet. But quiet never belonged to her. Her security team found her within minutes. 2 men, tall and stern, entered with the kind of authority that instantly killed the peaceful air. They began lecturing her in German, reminding her she wasn't allowed to wander, that she was creating a security breach, that her father was furious again. She tried to breathe, tried to stay calm, but every word felt like a chain tightening around her neck. And then Ayan's table was bumped. One of the guards, in his haste, brushed too close and knocked the edge of the cup. Hot tea splashed onto Ayan's hand. He sucked in a quick breath of pain but didn't react further. He didn't shout, didn't complain. He apologized, even though he wasn't the one at fault. Amelia felt a stabbing guilt, but her stress was too high for clarity. Her guard's scolding was relentless. They spoke as though she were 5 years old. As though she were incapable of choosing anything. As though she belonged to her father, not to herself. The pressure, the humiliation, and the suffocation pushed her over the edge. She snapped. In sharp, frustrated German, she lashed out, not at Ayan, not about him, but about her life. Why does everything go wrong? Why can't I spend 1 minute like a normal person? Why do I always end up next to people who remind me how trapped I am? She didn't mean him. She meant her circumstances. But intentions didn't matter when words fell harsh and uncontrolled. A quiet breath from behind her made her freeze. Ayan stood slowly, his eyes calm but wounded. He didn't look angry. He looked like a man who had been talked down to many times in life and had learned to swallow it until dignity demanded otherwise. And then, the moment that changed everything. In precise, steady German, he said, "I understand every word you said." Silence dropped like a stone. Amelia felt her heart slam painfully against her ribs. Her guard stared, confused. She stared at him as if seeing him for the first time. His accent was nearly flawless, soft, educated, unmistakably European trained. Nothing about him matched the image that had flashed through her stressed mind. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Her face turned hot. Shame washed over her in heavy waves. He picked up his backpack gently, trying not to look hurt, though his eyes betrayed a deep sadness. He wasn't angry, he was tired. Tired of being judged, tired of being underestimated, tired of being invisible. As he turned to leave, she reached out, grabbing his wrist without thinking. "Wait," she whispered, voice trembling. "You speak German?" He nodded once. "Studied in Berlin. Full scholarship. Years ago. Before life happened." She heard the unspoken words. She felt them. Her guard stepped back, unsure what to do. Amelia insisted gently, almost pleadingly, that she treat the burn on his hand. She apologized, not with rehearsed politeness, but with real shame and sincerity. He accepted the apology, though he clearly didn't expect anything from her. Then his phone buzzed. He hesitated, then answered. A small girl's face filled the screen, bright eyes, messy hair, a missing front tooth. Sana. She immediately noticed Amelia and whispered into the camera loud enough for the whole cafe to hear. "Papa, is she a princess?" Amelia's heart melted, and she smiled despite her own turmoil. Ion quickly told Sana she was just a kind stranger. But Sana waved excitedly at Amelia with pure innocence, and Amelia waved right back. She didn't want him to leave. She didn't know why. She only knew that the moment he spoke German, the moment he defended his dignity, something inside her life shifted. She asked to meet again. He hesitated, long enough that she almost lost hope, but finally nodded. And as he walked away, she realized something she had never felt before. Curiosity mixed with guilt, admiration mixed with longing, and a sudden awareness that this man, a stranger with tired eyes and perfect German, might become far more important than she ever expected. What she didn't know was that this single moment, born out of stress and misunderstanding, would pull her into a world far different from her own. A world where love wasn't bought, where dignity wasn't optional, where every mistake meant growth instead of judgment. A world that would change her forever. People say a single moment can change a life, but no one tells you what happens in the moments right after, when a truth hits so hard it refuses to leave you alone. The next morning, Amelia von Hartmann woke up with one sentence echoing relentlessly in her mind. "I understand every word you said." She replayed it again and again, the tone, the calmness, the dignity in his voice, the hurt in his eyes. It followed her like a ghost as her father's staff rushed around her, packing, planning, preparing her day. But all she could think about was him, the man who spoke her language better than most people in her world, the man she misjudged, the man whose silence had revealed more than her noise. And the hook that pulled her straight toward him was simple. She wasn't done with him, and she didn't think he was done with her either. Hours later, she found herself standing at the same small cafe, wearing jeans, her hair tied back, no guards, no luxury, no performance. Just Amelia, not the heiress, not the symbol, just a girl who wanted to see the man she wronged, the man who intrigued her, the man whose story she suddenly desperately wanted to understand. Ion arrived with Sana, and the moment the little girl spotted Amelia, she squealed with joy and ran toward her as if they were old friends. Amelia knelt down to catch her, laughing as Sana wrapped her arms around her neck. Ion watched from a few steps away, unsure, hesitant, caught between concern and a warmth he didn't want to admit he felt. The hook deepened when Amelia looked at Sana, brushed her cheek gently, and said softly, in German, "You have a very brave father." Ion's entire body stilled. He didn't expect that. He didn't expect her to learn anything overnight. He didn't expect her to meet his daughter with tenderness instead of guilt. He didn't expect her to come at all. They moved to the park across the street, a place where the afternoon sun painted everything golden. Sana ran off to chase pigeons, and for the first time, Amelia and Ion talked without tension, without misunderstandings, without guards listening. He told her he had lived in Berlin for years, earning a master's degree in engineering. He loved the city, the libraries, the night trains, the cold mornings, the way languages mixed in the air. He told her he met his wife there, Lena, a Pakistani exchange student studying nursing. When they returned to Pakistan to build a life, he thought everything would fall into place. But life wasn't a fair storyteller. Lena fell ill. Treatment was expensive. Ion lost his job trying to care for her. He sold their car, then their furniture, then the small apartment they had rented. But he held on to hope until the last moment. When she passed, he wasn't just a widower, he was a single father without savings, without a career, and without a map. Amelia listened with her heart in her throat. His words weren't dramatic. He didn't embellish anything. He spoke with the voice of a man who had lived through storms so strong they had wrung him out until only quiet strength remained. Then she told him her truth. Being an heiress wasn't freedom. It was walls disguised as privilege, pressure disguised as honor, and loneliness disguised as luxury. Her father controlled every aspect of her life, her schedule, her image, her decisions. She was taught to behave, to smile, to never contradict the board, the press, or the family line. She felt more like a product than a person. Ion listened, not with envy, not with judgment, but with understanding. Their lives were different, yet their cages felt the same. You want freedom, he said gently. She nodded. And you want recognition. He nodded too. Something shifted between them, something unspoken but undeniable. The day ended with laughter, sauna on Amelia's lap, messy ice cream on both their clothes, Ion watching them with a softness he couldn't hide. It felt strange, beautiful, and terrifying. It felt like a future forming without permission. But the world didn't stay silent for long. The next morning, everything exploded. Pictures of Amelia and Ion flooded the internet, captured by someone in the park. Headlines twisted the story into rumors, scandals, and accusations. A German heiress romantically involved with a poor local single father. Her father nearly broke a glass when he saw the news. He confronted Amelia with rage she had never seen in him. You cannot be seen like this. Do you understand what this will do to our name? To the foundation, to the press. This man, this nobody, cannot be attached to you. Amelia's body trembled, but for the first time in her life, it wasn't with fear. He's not a nobody, she said quietly. He's a human being. He's a father. He has more dignity than anyone in the boardroom you worship. Her father exploded at her defiance. He demanded she pack her things immediately, ordered the team to cancel her remaining events, threatened to cut funding to the charity projects she had personally built if she didn't obey. For the first time, she saw the truth. Her father didn't control her for her safety, he controlled her for image. For power, for his own perfection. She left the mansion that night through a back door, her hands shaking but her heart steady. She asked the assistant she trusted to help her get to Ion's neighborhood. She found him packing. Her stomach dropped. Are you leaving? He wouldn't meet her eyes. People are talking. Your world is upset. I don't want Sana exposed to this. Are you? It's better if I stay away. She grabbed his hands, shaking her head hard. No, no, you don't get to walk away because you think you're protecting me. You didn't do anything wrong. I chose this. I came to you. He tried to step back. She stepped forward. Tell me to leave and I'll go, she whispered. But don't leave because you think you're not enough. His breath caught. A lifetime of wounds lived in his silence. He didn't answer. But Sana did. The little girl, sleepy from her nap, stumbled into the room and climbed straight into Amelia's arms. She rested her head on Amelia's shoulder like it was the most natural place in the world. Ion saw it, and everything inside him cracked. He sank down, one hand over his face, emotion spilling out in a way he didn't allow himself often. Amelia knelt beside him, her hand on his cheek, as gentle as forgiveness. He whispered the words he had been refusing to say, I'm afraid to love you. Because I don't want to lose you. She wiped his tears with her thumb. Then love me, and let me stay. Their foreheads touched, their breaths mingled, and in that moment, everything dangerous, everything impossible, everything fragile felt worth it. Days later, Amelia confronted her father again, this time not apologizing, not defending, but declaring. She wasn't a child, she wasn't a puppet, she wasn't a trophy of the von Hartmann Empire. She was Amelia, and she chose her life. Her father, stubborn and furious, tried every tactic, anger, guilt, threats, logic. But she didn't bend, she didn't cry, she didn't fold like she always had. And eventually, he broke first. When he met Ion in person, expecting a desperate man begging for money, he instead found a quiet man who offered nothing but honesty. A single father who lived modestly, carried himself with dignity, and loved his daughter with a depth money couldn't fake. A man who stood when others shrank. Slowly, unexpectedly, her father softened. Not because of status, not because of pressure, but because love, genuine. Quiet, resilient love is hard to reject when you see it with your own eyes. Months passed. They rebuilt their lives together, not in wealth but in warmth. Amelia learned to braid Santa's hair. Ion got a stable job, his degree finally recognized after Amelia fought for him in the right places. They shared dinners, laughter, fears, and dreams. They built a home, not big, not shiny, but full. And the moment that sealed their new life came one evening when Amelia teased Ion in German, and he smiled with that same calm dignity that had shaken her soul the first day they met. "I understand every word you said." Only this time, she wasn't ashamed. She wasn't afraid. She smiled back, leaned her head onto his shoulder, and replied softly, "So understand this too, I love you." And he did. He understood every word, every heartbeat, every future, every part of the life they chose together.